Good morning, everyone. For those of you who have continued to share your time with me and my relationships, my guest today in this episode of New Job, New You, and New Home. By the way, it doesn't matter that I kind of reorder the headline because at the end of the day, what is really important is we're still delivering information, content of value to this headline of this short run video podcast series. And for those of you who have watched previous episodes, watched previous live streams, just to keep you on track, as well as myself, this is our 5th episode, and we have one more that will drop, that will live stream in a couple of weeks. So continue the journey with us. I'm glad that you're here with me today and my guests. So for all of you watching, I don't think you would disagree with me when I drop this statement, and that is technology powers every business. Let me repeat, technology powers every business. Technology, unfortunately, powers all of our lives. I don't think there's really too many people who are not doing things on their mobile phone, right? Checking account balances, using GPS maps. I mean, that's obvious. Even my parents use technology in that way to get around. So with that said, my first guest today is absolutely in the business of technology. And for those of you who are watching this live stream today or listening to this as an on-demand recording, if you are in a profession where you carry maybe a position, a job title of software engineer, data scientist, technical analyst, by the way, the list keeps going pretty long, then you absolutely want to hear and learn what my first guest, Eric, is going to share with us today. So let's welcome him into the studio. Hello, Eric. How are you?
Good, Bill. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. I love your shirt.
Thank you. Decided to be festive for you. It's a Friday, right?
It's a Friday. It's business casual. So am I, right? So with how I kind of tease the audience to bring you into the room, am I correct? Would you agree? Tech powers almost every industry.
Literally everything. Yeah. In the world that we live in today, I can tell you, you mentioned your parents. My parents definitely use technology, and I've got 2 kids, an 11 and an 8-year-old that know more about technology as an 11 and an 8-year-old than I did as probably a 22-year-old. So that's just the way the world is. It's going to continue to progress in that way with all of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, ChatGPT stuff. Technologies, that's the world we live in now, and it's going to continue to progress further. Who knows where we're going to be in 10 or 15 years, but self-driving cars and a ton of other things as it relates to technology. That's just the world we live in 2024.
I know. Tell me about it. So with you confirming what I dropped in front of our live stream audience, and by the way, whether you disagree or don't agree, does it really matter? No, I'm just kidding. You can certainly drop in your comments on social media as to, yes, Bill, I agree. I can't run my life without technology. Or if you're the unicorn and you have simply not jumped on the bandwagon of using technology, also drop a comment. I'd like to hear from you as well as to, well, how do you do what you do without technology? I want to learn. So with all of that said, Eric, let's lead off with you sharing with the audience who may not know you. There cannot be that many people. It's probably a very small fraction of the world of people that don't know who you are. But for that segment, why don't you lead off to share with us what is it that you do and the business that you lead and drive?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm vice president and partner of Culture Fit Technology Staffing. We are a technology staffing agency. So what we do is we're a middleman or a third party. We are the go-between between organizations that need to hire these technologists and candidates that are either looking or may not be looking for new work. We support organizations across the country. We are based in Chicago. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, but coast to coast, New York to California and everywhere in between, we're supporting organizations that need to hire technologists. You've got the list up there right now, Bill. The list is incredibly long. I'm not going to go through that. Layman's terms, if the role requires technical acumen, that is a role that we're highly skilled at being able to recruit for any organization that we're partnered with. We do a lot of direct hire recruiting. A lot of technical staffing firms are more slanted or geared towards doing contract work. While we do long-term contractors and contract to hire recruiting, we also do a lot of direct hire recruiting. So a lot of people that aren't super familiar with the recruiting world might call us headhunters. I don't have a problem with that term. Our job is to support our clients and find them the best talent available for their specific position and their specific company, which is very different from organization to organization. And while we are skill set specific in our recruiting, we are both industry and size agnostic. So we are not just supporting tech startups or companies that really revolve around technology. We obviously do support those companies, but we're supporting healthcare companies, financial companies, proprietary trading firms, SaaS organizations, logistics companies, manufacturing companies, managed service providers, consulting firms. The list goes on and on and on. And then size agnostic too. I would say that most of our business is what I consider mid-market, companies that have employee sizes of somewhere between 50 to about 10,000 employees in total. But we do have partnerships with organizations that are in the Fortune 500, Fortune 250 that have a lot more employees than 10,000. And there are some company partnerships that we have with companies that are smaller than the 50 employees as well. To us, it's not just about finding that hard to find talent and making sure that technically they have what is available, but because we do so much direct hire recruiting, our emphasis is equally geared towards the culture and environment fit. And in today's world in 2024, flexibility is king, and making sure that there is alignment, regardless if it's a 12-month contract role or a direct hire position. You're not going to get the tenure that you want as a hiring manager or as a person running a company if you're not hiring to both the culture and the skill set. Both of those things need to match. Otherwise, it just doesn't work long term.
Gotcha. So thank you for that big picture description, explanation, and also sharing, what matters in today's world. Do you see right now, Eric, there's a balance demand versus supply, demand from companies versus, the supply of talent?
That's a great question. I've been in this industry for quite some time. I started at Culture Fit in 2012. So 12 years at Culture Fit, and did some recruiting before joining Culture Fit as well. Probably have about 17 years of recruiting experience. And I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, the supply and demand has not been and probably will not be in my working time equitable. There are way more organizations that are looking to hire technologists, skilled technical people, than there are candidates that are either available in the market and looking for new work or not. And you have to keep in mind that, when we're supporting our clients, our goal is to find them the best person. So we do reach out to people that just, they look like they've got the skill on paper, right? They might not be actively looking for a new role. So we're not just dealing with the unemployed market. A lot of our work is dealing with the employed and very passive candidate marketplace. But part of that is because part of the reason for that, and really a main reason for that, is because a majority of companies that are looking to hire a software developer, a technical architect, or whatever, they aren't interested in the people that are coming to them that are applying, that are actively looking for new roles, because that's a very small portion of the market. The vast majority of technologists are gainfully employed. So, there are so many more opportunities for candidates because there are so many more organizations that are looking to hire these technologists, and there are people out there that can do the work.
So does that mean then the technologists, the available talent, for the talent to be recruited, to be courted, does that mean that they truly have more leverage right now, in your opinion?
I think they always have and will. If we're going back all the way to like the mid 90s, when technology and computers started to be mainstream and everything started to take off in the world that we now live in, that has been consistent. And a lot of what you see, it's not just a US based problem. I mean, a lot of the technologists that are working in the United States right now are not US citizens. There's a big majority of the market that are on work visas,
right.
Working here because there just aren't enough, again, candidates that are out there that do this type of work. So yes, they absolutely have the upper hand, whether you're a technologist and you happen to be looking for a new role because you're unemployed or you're just not happy at your current organization, or you're gainfully employed and you're passive, but you might be open to being courted, as you said, or looking at other opportunities if they're the right fit. They always have, the upper hand in some respects because there's just not that much talent that's out there.
True. And the opportunities that you source talent for, does it range from slightly beyond entry level, so contributor roles, to maybe even leadership roles, or kind of we're somewhere in between?
Yeah, we run the full gamut. I would say that we're leveraged the most in mid to senior level individual contributor roles. That being said, we are reactive based off of what our clients are looking for, right? What they need. So I've got plenty of clients that they want entry level software developers, as an example. I've got a number of clients that leverage us more on the leadership and executive type recruiting roles, whether they're a lead, a manager, a director, a C-level executive, et cetera. In my business, again, reactive on our clients coming to us saying, we've got a technical role, we need you to support us. But the majority of our recruiting comes mid to senior level, individual contributor. And in technology, I always find it kind of humorous. A mid-level technologist could, a lot of times in organizations, be someone with 2+ years of experience, 2+ years of professional experience. So, and senior in technology related roles, a lot of times means 5+. So occasionally it means 7, maybe 10. When you get into like leadership roles, it's a little bit different, but it really runs the full gamut, especially like mid-level to me is still somebody that's very junior in their career in my world, just because a lot of the organizations that I'm working with will say mid-level is 2 to 4 years of professional experience.
Yeah, I guess that's because technology moves so quickly. So it's kind of like, the 2-3 years as a mid-level contributor, it's like light years.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That's exactly why it is that way.
Yeah. So with what you do, matchmaking, sourcing talent, you help them also relocate, right? The ones that might have to be part of like a work visa program or something like that, correct?
Yeah, so we're not doing any transfers of work visas or sponsoring ourselves. That is our clients. And again, a lot of our work is permanent direct hire. So it depends on our client. But if our client is open to transferring the work visa or sponsoring somebody that doesn't have a current work visa, that's great. We're just recruiting the talent for them. And then if they hire that person, that's really on that company to run that process. So we're not doing that directly ourselves. From a reload perspective, again, it's really on our clients. We do work on some roles that, they're open to relocating a candidate and providing financial assistance. But a lot of the roles, Bill, as you know, and clearly people that are watching this live, this is my office, but this is my home. A lot of the roles that we are working on are either fully remote or have a hybrid component.
Sure.
Where, in-office time is once a week or a couple times a month or whatever the case may be. I do have clients, again, this runs the gamut too. I've got clients that, you got to be on site 5 days a week. So then the location of the candidate is critical, obviously. But we work a lot of jobs and recruit on a lot of positions where that's not the case. And somebody's going to need to be able to work Central Standard hours, or somebody's going to need to be able to come into the office once a quarter, and the company will provide the financial support to do that. So it really is specific, but a lot of the roles that we are recruiting for, you don't need to be in the office, right? The technology world, most roles, it's much less critical than the healthcare field,
Sure.
Food and beverage field, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot less critical to be on site for a lot of what we're recruiting for.
True. Yeah. Hospitality industry, etc. Yeah. Do you see more women, more young girls with STEM background increasing within the ranks of the business of technology across all industries?
A lot more. Yeah. I mean, just
going
back when I started at Culture Fit in 2012, it was incredibly rare for us to, be recruiting, making placements with women. And now it's that has increased a lot. It's still more of a male dominated field for sure, especially in STEM. But actually, just speaking of work visas, a good amount of the technical talent that's in the United States now are people that originate from India. And there has been a big influx of female talent that was born in India that's happened over the past 6 or 7 years, which is great to see. And I'm also seeing that in the United States as well, with more young women actually going to get their computer science degrees, et cetera. And definitely infiltrating in a very good way the technology market and sector overall.
Yeah, I asked you that question because on my side of the business, Eric, we know each other from 10 plus years back. Behind the couple, married or unmarried household, the next and fastest growing segment of clients in my industry is and are single females. Now, whether they are employed in tech or not doesn't really matter. But certainly in the world of tech, these young girls, single females, maybe not single females, but they may be the larger income earner. Certainly the business and the profession of tech rewards them with a very nice, healthy income to be able to do what they do. So thank you for validating that. Let's now welcome Catherine Brukalo into the conversation today. Catherine, how are you? How are you?
I'm in the waiting room.
Oh, you're in the waiting room?
Hi, Bill. I'm well, Bill. How are you? And
We're good.
happy International Women's Day to all of the women that are tuning in today live. And if you're listening after March 8th, then I hope you had a fabulous Women's Day on March 8th.
Absolutely. So Eric and I were just talking about his business, the entire world of tech. And we finished off with my asking Eric, hey, do you see more women, young girls, single females, mamas driving the households like you that are in tech? And Eric said, yeah, much more so within the recent years. And the coincidence, I think, is your spouse is in tech. So How does that make you feel? Like, you know all about this tech business, right?
To a great extent, I do, yes. And, I think that I just want to say when you asked at the beginning where, do we use tech in our business or are we using tech, et cetera, I just want to bring this conversation back to how do we consider these words? How do we define these words, right? Because when I work
Mm,
with women, we talk about, what does success mean to you? Right?
yeah,
What does having enough mean to you? All of these things. And it's funny because I think unless you're on one of those, Amish spaces, you are using tech. It may not be
yes,
ChatGPT, but your telephone is tech. Your car is tech, even if you're not driving an electric vehicle, right? So,
right.
and obviously today, you may be getting a little bit further if you are using some of what is considered the more contemporary tech, or you're on the socials, or you're doing some sort of online marketing, obviously. But I just find it interesting as a Gen X mama to how the trajectory has come, especially with Eric talking about his young children knowing more about tech in their ages than we did in our 20s, because let's face it, that tech was just being born in our 20s. I
Yeah,
was sharing for Women's Month or Women's History Month some women artists and their works on my socials, and I'm typing some things in, looking for the images. And when I was an undergraduate and I was studying, one of my majors was art history, and you had to go, see the painting in the museum, or you had to go to various libraries to find the books. Or if I was studying 19th century female painters, I had to dig pretty hard to find the things about them. And I'm not saying there is as much available to you, immediately about some of these painters, but I mean, I was just like, wow, this is so amazing for kids who are going through studies now, and just completely different from what we had. So I think it is exciting. I think all of the innovations are, great. There's always fear. And, I work with my clients on various aspects of fear. What's going to happen? Is my role going to become obsolete? Is my role
yeah,
going to change? Is this service going to be needed? Are things going to change? Yes. Is this
yeah.
going to wipe out entire professions? Absolutely not. I mean, come on, people still obviously ride horses and buggies, right? No, I'm kidding. But they do. And there's other purposes, and things change and things transmute. So I think it's exciting to have these conversations. I think it's exciting for women to be in these roles and pursue these roles. I think it's great that Eric and his folks are able to help place them or help these companies with gathering candidates and gathering female candidates and gathering candidates who are diverse, so that they are inclusive. I think it is all wonderful, and I'm glad that we're bringing that to the fore today.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's now add in another female boss, another female driver of her household, Anne Marie. Anne Marie, again, mere coincidence. I believe your spouse is also in tech. Am I right?
Yes, he's chief of technology for a very large company.
There you go. There you go.
And
So as Eric and I were talking about, that last part, there's more women, young girls coming into tech, and a lot of the opportunities that he's presenting, sourcing talent for, may require relocation. Some may be hybrid. Um, in what you do, Anne-Marie, how do you help this segment of tech professionals when they have to move and they have to uproot family, if it comes to that? How do you help them navigate through that part of their lives, right? It's why do I ask? Because we all of us, household wise, we accumulate a lot of stuff. So how do you help some of these tech professionals?
so I actually organize virtually as well as in person. It's just not nearly as popular because people realize it's work and they don't want to do it. Whereas I actually do it for you and with you. To do it by yourself, not so much fun, but it is possible if you really want to go that route.
Yeah, I hear you. And in some of these households, I can imagine, Eric, maybe you'll grin and laugh in a little bit as soon as I say this. For the households that are tech professions, heck, even my household, we're not really into the tech profession. We have so many computers, multiple monitors, cords running everywhere, right? So Anne-Marie, you facilitate and help us in organizing that clutter, correct?
Absolutely. And you mentioned a pain point, cords. Holy cow. I can't stand the cords. There are baskets, bins, and boxes of cords in every single house. When you move, I recommend if you don't know what it's for, throw it out. It'll probably cost you $5 to replace it.
Sure.
And that space is priceless. And honestly, the fact is I threw away one of our 2 boxes of cords when we moved, and my husband never noticed. So we weren't using them anyway.
Yeah. I know close to where I live, guys, we have a quarterly electronics recycle event. Where it attracts multiple cities, suburbs, or whatever, and each and every event throughout our household, we find, just like what you said, these cords that we don't know, they're orphaned. I'm like, what did it go with? Don't know. Let's throw it into this box so that we can recycle, and of course other electronics and so forth. Do you agree, Eric? You have some of that as well?
I do have some of that, but most of the cords these days, it's only 1 of 3 chargers, right? And it's funny because almost everything you get now comes with one, right? I mean,
Sure.
It's insane. Whether it's a dog nail clipping set, whether it's whatever it is, it comes with one of these 3 chargers. So my wife likes to keep everything. I throw them out all the time, and I've got like a small box that's actually in my office. That's a cord organizer, and we've got plenty to satisfy everything that we could ever need because you're not charging everything at once anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Ladies and Eric, thank you for sharing your time with me today in this live stream episode of New You, New Job, and New Home. For all of you watching, if you may be in the profession of tech, and if you may be considering what is your next chapter, and you're looking for a resource to help you, certainly Google search Eric Edelsberg with Culture Fit. He's very easy to find. And I'm certain he'd be willing to engage and start a conversation with you. And for those of you tech mamas who are the income earners of your household, if you, because I've heard it from Catherine, are struggling to manage your day-to-day and live the life that you want with enough balance, reach out to Catherine. She's a master of juggling a lot of things at the same time. Evidence as part of today. She's in this live stream with us, as well as waiting to enter into Zoom court. Love that. And then, of course, Anne-Marie, a spouse of a tech executive. For those of you who are in the profession of tech and you are about to consider a relocation, a physical relocation, and you've got way too many cords, way too many monitors, way too much clutter, Google search Anne-Marie Gunther. Her business is called That Girl Organizes. Oh my gosh, that's so simple. She will gladly start a conversation with you as well to help you complete that move with less clutter, less stress, and so forth. So audience members, until we see you in the next and last episode of New You, New Job, and New Home, thank you.